4 impactful years. A public affairs forum on the Jonathan administration, organized by Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs. This is a fact and figures forum to measure the growth in the various sectors of Nigeria's economy under the Jonathan administration from 2011 till date, featuring the Ministry of Works.
From Abuja to Lokoja used to take us in 2011 about 4 hours to undertake that journey. But today, we do it for under 2 hours.
The Honorable Minister for Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy.
Most Nigerians don't acquire their own housing till they retire, isn't it? They continue to rent. So if you're a young couple, you do not think you can get housing until you've done what? You've worked for 30 years, 40 years. For the first time, young couples, young Nigerians are going to be able to get their housing, pay for it over 10 years, 15 years, 20 years.
Trade and investment.
Manufacturing and trade contributes at least 27% to our GDP. MSME actually accounts for 46% of our GDP. And industries account for 25.9% of our GDP.
The question we are answering is, where was Nigeria before President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan came on board in 2011, and where is Nigeria now? Presentation by the Honorable Minister of Works at the Public Affairs Forum on the Jonathan administration. 4 impactful years in the road sector. The minister stated that the Federal Ministry of Works had made significant strides in road development since the inception of the administration of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan in 2011. He said by May 29, 2011, Nigerian roads were described as death traps and many roads were abandoned, while a number of ongoing projects were moving at snail speed.
It's a truism. By May 29, 2011, Nigerian roads were described as death traps, and many roads were abandoned. And a number of ongoing projects were going at snail speed. During my swearing in as Minister of Works, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan missed no word when he said the state of Nigeria roads is unacceptable. You must hit the ground running to change the picture. Let Nigerians see the kind of roads we inherited in this country. The roads that President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan inherited after the 2011 elections.
Here is a refresher on the state of the following roads. Apapa Oshodi Expressway, Benin-Ore Shagamu Highway, Abuja-Abaji Lokoja Dualization, Onitsha Head Bridge, Lagos-Ibadan Highway in Lagos and Ogun State, Lafia-Doma Road in Nasarawa State, Ilorin-Jeba Road in Kwara State.
Picture that confronted you in those days. In fact, all around the country, it was a terrible story.
To reverse this ugly trend, the Federal Ministry of Works, under the leadership of architect Mike Onolomeme, embarked on an aggressive reorganization to reposition the ministry for effective highway project management, thereby restructuring the then existing 2 highway departments into 12, while the engineering department was restructured into 3.
So necessary reorganizations were made, and more importantly, I created a new department of geotechnics and quality control. Beyond that, I created 6 directorates of highway construction and rehabilitation and made the directors to be resident in each of the 6 geopolitical zones for better management of projects, rather than what I inherited, where all of them were in Abuja here. And when you ask for a report, they just gave you a report from the computer. I said, oh, that is not working. That is not going to work. As a project manager, I need my report from the field. In the same vein, I created 6 independent ministerial monitoring teams made up of professionals from the private sector, proven professionals that have given at least 30 years of professional service to our nation, either in the private or public service. And Mr. President supported the initiative, and it became the norm at the Federal Ministry of Works.
Thus far, the ministry has completed 62 road projects and has recorded impressive progress on many more. The President Jonathan administration's intervention in the road sector has improved federal roads from about 4,500 kilometers of fair roads in 2011 to about 25,000 kilometers by December in 2013 out of the 35,000 kilometers of federal highways. Over 70% of road network in Nigeria is now motorable, when compared to about 16% at the inception of this administration. Reconstruction of Vom-Manchok Road in Plateau State. Rehabilitation of Otukpo or Weto Road in Benue State. Rehabilitation of Kastina Daura Road in Kastina State. Funtua Gusau section in Kastina State. Rehabilitation of Enugu Abakaliki Road in Enugu and Ebonyi State.
As at 2011, we have a little over 4,000 kilometers of road that you could describe as being in fair condition. But 3 years on, today we have about 25,000 kilometers of federal road in fair condition. In general, about 70% of our road network is now motorable. Match that with the about 16% we inherited in 2011. You will see that we have really done very well as far as the road sector is concerned. This is the Kastina Daura Road in Kastina State. Next is the Gombe Bypass in Gombe State. And next is the Mianchi Anka Daki Tapas Road in Zamfara State. Next is the Zaria Gusau Benin Kebbi Road from Futuo to Gusau section. Next on the dualization for the Owerri Road, which we completed, but by the time we came in, a sizable section of it in section 1 was still largely completed. Right from after the bridgehead, we tackled it headlong up to the outstanding section of the Onitsha Owerri Road. Then next is the rehabilitation of Enugu Abakaliki Road in Enugu and Ebonyi State. That's what we are seeing in the spread. Next is the dualization of Ibadan-Ilorin Expressway Section 1 in Oyo and Kwara State. Next is the Apapa-Oshodi Expressway, the section you saw on the deplorable condition of road that was waterlogged. That is the section. When we intervened, after our intervention, this was working out. Next is the famous Benin-Ore Shagamu Road. In fact, for those of you who used to travel that road, you know my brothers and sisters from the southeast and the south side. You know, those days when we were living in Lagos, we prepared for 2 nights in Ore because of the deplorable condition of the road. But today, to the glory of God, you can see what we have on the screen. This is one of the best road alignment, not just in Nigeria, but in Africa today. I wish to say that our decision has started yielding the desired result on a number of corridors, among which are the Asaba Onitsha Owerri corridor, the Enugu Abakaliki Ogoja Ikom and Ufon corridor, the Lagos Ibadan Ilorin corridor, the Warri Benin Auchi Okene Lokoja Abaji Abuja Kaduna Zaria Kano corridor, and of course the Kasina Kano Wudi Damaturu Maiduguri corridor, the Otukpa Lafia Jos Bauchi Kari Potiskum corridor, the Otukpa Ayamba Ajakuta Lokoja corridor, the Mopwa Bida Lambata corridor, where we are doing wonderfully well, the Akure Ilesha Road, and of course the Sokoto, Tamboa, Jega, Bini, Yauri, Kontagora, Makera corridor, among others. From Abuja to Lokoja used to take us in 2011 about 4 hours to undertake that journey. But today, you do it for under 2 hours. Onitsha to Owerri used to take 3 hours. Today, it takes just 1 hour. Benin or Shagamu, Lagos used to take 9 hours or 2 days, as the case may be, depending on your luck. Today, it takes about 3.5 hours. The Gombe-Numa-Yola Expressway used to take 6 hours. Now it takes 3 hours. The Enugu-Abakaliki-Ogoja-Umfong Highway used to take a whopping 8 hours because of the very parallel state of that alignment. Today, it takes just 3 hours. The Lagos-Ibadan Expressway up to Ilorin used to take 6 hours. Even at the time we have not completed that road, it is already taking 3.5 hours. We begin to wonder what will happen by the time we complete that particular major corridor. Otupa to Ayangwa, Jakuta, Lokoja used to take about 4 hours. Now it takes about 1.5 hours. The Jeba, Lafayette, Mokwa Road used to take about 2 hours. With our intervention, now it takes just about 45 minutes. To address the road infrastructure gap and better the lives of Nigerian citizens, the Federal Ministry of Works, through the Federal Executive Council, awarded about 98 number projects across the country. In fact, no government in the history of Nigeria in the past 3 decades have really attended to the need of the road sector in the way the President Goodluck Jonathan has done.
Currently, the Federal Ministry of Works has a total of 184 ongoing highway projects, amounting to a portfolio of 1.765 trillion naira.
On the screen is an ongoing realization of Abuja-Lokoja Road in the Federal Capital Territory and Kogi State. This road, as we speak, is over 85% completed. Now, the administration, President Goodluck Jonathan, understands the connection between good roads and bridges and economic growth. And realizing that government alone cannot continue to fund this critical national infrastructure as a result of challenges in revenue, the administration has continued to pursue the public-private partnership paradigm in delivering critical national projects. Another, the PPP, the public-private partnership scheme, we have 2 flagship projects in the Federal Ministry of Works. The second Niger Bridge is one of them, which Mr. President flagged off sometime earlier this year. The second project where PPP funds are being applied is the Akpako Oshode Motola Mohammed International Airport Expressway in Lagos. What you are seeing on the screen are the conceptual design, but I want to assure you that on completion, that is exactly what we are going to find in that corridor. A part of what we are doing to promote safety is construction of pedestrian bridges. Before now, you will recall that most part of the Nadia-Azikiwe Expressway around Abuja had no pedestrian bridges. So through this our collaboration, the Federal Ministry of Works committed to building 6 pedestrian bridges, being the first phase of this intervention, and that is what we are seeing at the screen. This will be commissioned in 2 days' time. They have all been completed. Your Excellencies, distinguished stakeholders, fellow Nigerians, there is no doubt that President Goodluck Jonathan has shown a clear understanding of the positive connection between good road network and economic growth. But from what we do know, no administration, pre-colonial, colonial, or in the past 50 years, have made the kind of giant steps that the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan has recorded in the road sector. Governance is about the people. It's about the promotion of the happiness of the people. What makes the people happy? Our people traverse our road from one part of the country to another, either in search of economic activity or in search of social integration. And they can connect better with what the Jonathan administration have been able to achieve in the road sector.
The minister stated that its road sector development team, RSDT, has a lot of projects accredited to it. Purchase of vehicles and towing trucks for FRSC, building of 6 pedestrian bridges within the FCT, Maintenance of a total of 22,500 kilometers of road corridor and 80 bridges of different lengths by FEMA in the last 3 years. Training, mobilization and management of 7,179 youths, including women, by FEMA for road maintenance under the Shaw P. Purchase of 35 pothole patchers, mobile laboratories and many more. Indeed, the Federal Ministry of Works has been in line with the transformation agenda of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. The Minister of Trade and Investment started his presentation by stating that the Jonathan administration distinguished itself from all other administrations in the past by its identification of the need to reinforce 2 ministries.
Let me start that at the beginning of 2011, the President decided to actually create or refocus 2 ministries. The first one was the Ministry of ICT, and the second was the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. It was called Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So any progress, any achievement of the ministry has to go back to the creator. He felt it was important that we emphasize investments.
In his statement, he said this made it clear that the president had a firm vision of Nigeria's investment potentials.
Creating an enabling environment to stimulate domestic and foreign investments into all sectors of the Nigerian economy.
He further stated that the president saw a need to diversify from the country's dependence on oil to other means of sustainable income.
In 2011, when we took over, there was no coordinated and comprehensive industrial plan for this country. There was no strategy to diversify our economy and revenue sources. Look, the manufacturing contribution to GDP was very, very low, less than 4% of GDP. Capacity utilization was very low. They were losing jobs all around the place. And I see some industrialists nodding over there because they can remember what was the situation in 2011. There was no emphasis on value addition. For decades in the country, we specialized in exporting raw materials, and we thought we were a rich nation.
He further stated that the president saw a need to diversify from the country's dependence on oil to other means of sustainable income and expressed that the dividend of the focus of the Jonathan administration had paid off the stupendous returns the country is enjoying not only from gross earnings but also from job creation, infrastructure, SME supports, and many others.
For decades and decades, every government until this government of President Ebele Jonathan relied on one commodity, oil. There was no plan to take us forward. And what is the answer to that diversification? That is why we came up immediately with a true industrial revolution plan that was launched by Mr. President in February last year. That is the first game changer that this ministry brought to bear to this country. What is the Industrial Revolution Plan? We are taking it from the view that no nation has managed to move from being a poor nation to a rich nation by relying entirely on exporting raw materials without a strong industrial and services sector. In January, Carlos Ghosn met with the president at Davos, committed himself to the change and the fact that he's coming, and we attract some joint venture partners to the country. It promised that the first cars will be rolled out in May. In May, those cars were rolled. But the cars were launched all in May, on the 29th of May. So when you compare other policy in terms of where we are in 2011, we did not have the auto policy. Now we do. The number of auto manufacturers in 2011 were 4. Today, 22. The number of investment that went to the auto sector in 10 years was $62 million. In less than 1 year, we've attracted more than 150 million, and there's about 300 million coming in 2016. The number of automotive test laboratories was nil in 2011. Today, we have 3. The number of universities offering automotive engineering was nil in 2011. Today, we have 4. Is President Goodluck Jonathan actually working? Is Mrs. working? Here's the answer again. Did we have a national sugar plan in 2011? No. Now we do. The number of jobs in the sugar industry today, 3,850. Today, we're looking at 180,000 plus. 4 areas of focus. One is to improve standard, and we started working on it. The second is to bring the price of cement down. So overall, when you look at the loans, this is a BOI. Number of loans approved in 2011, 272, compared to 1,609 in 2013. Value of loans approved by BOI in 2011 was only 36.1 billion. In 2013, they approved 198 billion. Value of loans disbursed was about 38.5 billion, and they developed 150 billion. And number of jobs from the companies they have supported were about 178,000 in 2011. Today, we're talking about 2013, we're talking about 669,000. In terms of manufacturing, you can see where the growth is. It's gone up by 26% in manufacturing. In terms of infrastructure, we have never had a national quality policy in this country. And we've never ever had a national quality infrastructure to support our industrialization and trade in this country. So for the first time, we now have this in place. In order to have job creation and inclusive growth, the President launched the National Enterprise Development Program. It's the first time in this country that we will have a program for one coordinated program for the SME sector. In the past, everybody just did whatever they wanted to do. But today, we now have a program for them, and that was why the President launched the MSME Council, which is, again, new in this country. But the whole idea is that in that 55,000 cooperatives, there are 825,000 members. This is our initiative to reach at least 1 million people every year through the One Local Government, One Product initiative. That is new also. So again, when you're comparing 2011 and 2014, we never had an integrated development plan for the MSME sector in 2011. Today we do. Nothing coordinated in 2011. Today we do. We have SME Council at state level, 17 of them. 2011 we did not. SMEDAN was in 13 states of the Federation in 2011. Today SMEDAN is in all the states of the Federation. So that they can meet with the government. BOI was in a few states. BOI is also going to be in every state of the Federation, so that they can learn easily to people at the state and grassroots level. Overall, we have reduced the cost of doing business in terms of when you want to register business with the CAC by 50%. I'm delighted to say to you that we have embarked on 61 reform programs to reform the whole entire economy as they relate to investment, trade, and people.
Dr. Mrs. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the Honorable Minister for Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, started her impassioned presentation by enjoining all attendees of the forum to praise God for watching over the country, Nigeria.
In spite of all the challenges and the difficulties we have in this country, God has done for us. Is it not true? He has done for us. 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 What my father could not do, He has done for us. What my mother cannot do, He has done for us. Thank you.
She congratulated the Jonathan administration for the success of rebasing the economy, which is unique to this administration, as well as attracting the World Economic Forum to Nigeria.
It is under President Goodluck Jonathan that the rebasing of this economy was achieved. For 24 years, we were not able to rebase the economy. We did not. We rebased this economy and it became the first largest economy in Africa, the 26th largest in the world, with a GDP of 510 billion in 2013. And people will say, what does that mean? We cannot eat with reason. I just want to remind you of some of the things you heard before. The reason why Aliko Dangote is investing $16 billion in this economy is because of the size, the consumer base, the potential market. If we didn't have this information about the size of the GDP, many people will not look to invest here. That's what it means. The reason the automobile industry has come here to set up, to manufacture cars, is because we have what? The consumer base. With about 40 million consumers rising who are in the lower middle income rank, who are able to purchase these goods, that will also help create the jobs that will pull up the others from the bottom of the ladder. That is why it is important. I don't think that Unilever CEO would have come here about 2 months ago to say he's investing another 150 million euros in his enterprises, had it not been for the fact that he saw that he has a very large economic base to deal with. I could go on and on. The GE $1 billion memorandum that they signed for power, the fact that we attracted over $3 billion into the power industry where we privatize. All of this is because people feel, investors have seen that they cannot afford to be out of the Nigerian market. The president also showcased the country when he attracted the World Economic Forum to take place here. You all remember that this was said to be one of the best World Economic Forum we had in this year. In spite of the challenges we had at that time, over 1,000 CEOs from all over the world congregated here in Abuja to show the world that Nigeria matters and that Nigeria is firmly on the map. It was also in this forum that the Premier of China, Premier Li Keqiang, visited and announced $30 billion for the investment for the whole of Africa. He came here because he felt that this is the country that has the largest base, and it's here that the development of not only the subcontinent but the whole continent, it's from here that it will radiate.
She further praised the Jonathan administration for its great discipline in curtailing its spending, stating that prior to the Jonathan administration, Nigeria had fallen into the habit of spending excessively more than it was earning.
Yes, just to give you one number, in 2010, we borrowed 1.3 trillion naira to help finance our spending. We determined under the president who said that Nigerians don't want this, we need to bring it down. Today, do you know what our borrowing is? 571 billion. We have brought it down from 1.3 trillion to 571. We will continue to take it down, even if it's by 1 naira. We will continue trending down.
She pointed out that it is also the Jonathan administration that recognized the role of housing in the growth of the economy and took up the challenge to provide long-term mortgage to the masses.
Because we didn't have a housing finance infrastructure that would enable us to create the housing for people and therefore create millions of jobs, we left that sector behind. Economists call it a non-tradable because it is not one that generates exports. People tend not to look at it. But we've forgotten that it generates jobs. For the first time, this did not exist before, the president launched in January this year the Housing Finance Revolution by creating the Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Corporation. I shared 2 weeks ago that we with this new institution, it means our primary lending institutions can let out many more mortgages. Young Nigerians can have something that they only dared to dream about before. Most Nigerians don't acquire their own housing till they've retired, isn't it? They continue to rent. So if you're a young couple, you do not think you can get housing until you've done what? You've worked for 30 years, 40 years. For the first time, young couples, young Nigerians are going to be able to get their housing, pay for it over 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And I tell you, I repeat that a month ago we launched an advert for 10,000 mortgages. We are doing anywhere between 20 to 15. I want to ramp it up to 200,000. We have advertised for just 10. 66,000 people applied. They are being processed. And this Thursday is the final meeting for us before we send them their acceptances. And they can have their housing loans, they can go and pick the kind of apartment or house they want, and they can launch on their dream. Before, we didn't even know how many jobs we needed to create in this economy, or how many we were creating. Is that not so? Now we know, with the work done by the National Bureau of Statistics, the president said to us, we talk about creating jobs, but I need the number. How many jobs do we need to create? How many are we creating? So that when I talk, I can talk from the base of statistics. And how many unemployed? The National Bureau of Statistics did the homework, and we need to create 1.8 million jobs each year. At this time, we are creating what? 1.2 million. So if you factor all the things happening, that's what we're meaning. We still have what? A gap. And that's why you still have young Nigerians who come up to you and say they don't have the job. But we have embarked on the journey. And with what we are measuring, we'll now be able to tell how well we're doing on that journey. So that is something also that is new that we didn't have before and we are doing now.
She concluded that the Jonathan administration is driven by passion for growth.
Let me tell you that all of these actions result in one thing. Why is it that in spite of the challenging world environment we're in, Nigeria's economy is still growing? And it's one of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world. Why is it that it's still growing? We've got the external environment where prices are falling and things are not so robust. We've got challenges of security, at home unemployment. But this economy is growing because of all the actions that you heard my colleagues say the president has been pushing in this transformation agenda. So if we don't grow, like what happened in the 80s and 90s, we will be what? Worse off. We don't want to be worse off, we want to be better off. So it doesn't mean that growth gives you everything. That's not what I'm saying. But without it, things will be worse than they are. That's why I brought these cakes. I use them to illustrate GDP growth before, and I want to end with that. We've got this. Let us say that you have a family of 3 children, husband and wife. And this is the cake. This is your income. This is what you're sharing. When you have 2 more children, what happens if you still depend on this cake? What happens? You're going to be worse off. If you now move to a bigger cake because your income is growing, is that not a better thing? But after you've added the 2 children, husband and wife, you are now 5 children, husband and wife. How many? 7. The man goes and marries another wife and produces another 3 children. So now you have 3 children plus 1 more wife, isn't it? From the 7, you have added another 4. How many is that? 11. Is this cake going to be enough? So you move to a bigger cake. Wouldn't you want your income to increase? What I'm describing to you is what is happening in the Nigerian economy. Our population is increasing each year by 2.8%. If our GDP does not grow, we will be like that man who had a small cake and had 5 children, and then it was okay for them. When he added another 3 or 4, it could no longer be sufficient because he has added more people. As we speak in this country, we are adding population every single day. And if we want to be able to even have a chance to feed some of those people, I'm not saying that their life, is the best or whatever, but a chance to feed them, this economy must grow the cake. And that is why what GDP is all about. That is why this larger cake is what we are saying that under President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, the size of the cake has been what? Increasing. Thank you very much. That is the wrap-up.
Nigeria recorded 14.2% rise in export in the first quarter of 2014 and 8.3% decline in Nigeria's import during the same period. World Bank reports the harmonized Nigerian living standards as 33.1% compared to 62% before President Jonathan. The Jonathan administration has launched $15 million fund to support venture capital in the ICT sector, making it the first of its kind. The Jonathan administration has provided over 11,604 housing units for Nigerians. Nigeria attracted an approximate value of $7 billion of foreign investment, making the country the #1 destination for foreign investment in Africa after years of playing second fiddle. President Goodluck Jonathan and the transformation of Nigeria. With 510 billion, the rebased GDP of Nigeria, compared to 169 billion in 2009, puts Nigeria as Africa's biggest economy.
Thank you very much.
We truly salute the Jonathan administration for its 4 impactful years, and we want more.